Well, that could be an issue.
All right, audio's up.
Okay.
There's going to be a little bit of delay. And I did that great intro and everything.
It was awesome. It was like the
I did
best.
that awesome intro, and now everybody can't hear. They should be able to hear now. Of course, there's a delay. There is a delay on Facebook and YouTube, so it's going to start catching up. Let us know once you can hear the sound. Thanks for letting me know. I'm getting a thumbs up.
Awesome. Thumbs up is good.
There
Very
it
good.
is, says Jessica Rausch.
Oh, it's our daughter. Yeah.
Your daughter is
The
tuned
kids
in.
Hello, Jesse.
Hello, Jesse.
Hello.
The kids are watching. Yes.
So anyway, everybody missed my really cool intro. I'm just going to abbreviate it.
Do it again.
YouTube, Glocker Realty and Insurance. Find us on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook, Glocker Realty and Insurance. I'm also streaming to Matt Green at Glocker Realty on Facebook. We are looking for people to subscribe to our YouTube channel,
Right.
Glocker Realty and Insurance. You'll see past episodes and property videos.
Yes.
I'm Matt Green.
I'm Jeff Frederick.
You're Jeff Frederick.
Yep. And we are the Cast at Glocker.
And we are at Ridgewood Winery.
Live on location.
First time ever.
Yes.
On the road.
On the road with the Cast at Glocker. Yeah.
And
yeah.
we're sitting here with Bill and Tracy from Ridgewood Winery. They're our hosts tonight. They are the owners, operators, proprietors, CEOs, CFOs, chief maintenance man.
Everything but the serving
Janitor.
staff.
Yeah.
Janitor,
Yeah, right.
Good. Yeah.
lawnmower.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to some
Maid.
extent, making wine is just, you're basically a glorified janitor to a certain extent, right?
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
Wine-
we give
wine-
it a fancier name.
Yeah, right.
We call
Vintner.
ourselves the vintners.
Yeah. Give him a good name.
For others, we just say the winemaker.
The
And it's like,
winemaker.
oh, that's the profession I want.
The chief
Until they
bottle
find out
washer.
what you do Monday through Thursday.
Clean up after the place.
Pretty much. Constantly.
So tell us about what's going on. Tell us about Ridgewood, because this is not your primary location yet.
It isn't yet.
Okay.
We expect that it will be once we get everything up and operating down here. Ridgewood Winery's been around. We actually started the business out as Moonlight Winery in 2013
Okay.
at the Birdsboro location on 724, just outside the city.
Okay.
The Reading city, that is.
Right.
But what we expected to do there in 5 years actually took place in 18 months.
Wow.
So when we started this business coming out of a hobby and going professional with it, we didn't expect it to go the way that it has.
Right.
In a good way.
In a good way,
going,
right?
In a
It's
good
going
way.
really, really
Yeah.
well. I mean, you hear the horror stories about other businesses that don't go that way, but we've had really good patrons, good participation at all our events that we do. They're growing like crazy, and that led us to be able to expand to where we are today with the Bechtelsville location. We need to get to the point where we grow our own fruit and have control of our own destiny as best we can.
Right.
And we needed, again, saying that we outgrew the other location for the types of events that we do and the things that Tracy's always wanted to be able to do. This place will give us, it's 28 acres, it'll give us the opportunity to grow the fruits that we want, grow the grapes that we want, get all the materials we need to be in-house. We're expecting to expand our staff to about 12 employees down here
Okay.
once we get everything up and rolling. So,
Right.
And why don't you tell us the location? Because I think there's a lot of people that in the area that don't know where
well,
you're located.
The original location is 2039 Philadelphia Avenue in It's called Birdsboro, but it's actually much closer to the 170.
And that's probably confusing to Boyertownians because
yeah. Well,
they have a
there's-
Philadelphia Avenue too. So they're
there
like,
is
oh,
a-
they're
Right,
right in
right,
town.
right.
Yeah, there is. Because
We're on
what
the other
is
side
it?
of Philadelphia.
73 or is it 562? I'm not sure which one of those is
It's
called.
73, yep.
73 then.
Yep.
Yeah, that one's called Philadelphia Avenue too, and it's a different area of Berks County.
Yeah.
But yeah, 724 and East Point Drive is the conjunction of the streets, the intersection. We're right near the 176 interchange as you head down towards the turnpike coming out of the city.
Right.
And this location is 215 Township Line Road in Bechtelsville. If you know what Route 100, if you're on Route 100 going north, coming out of, say,
Boyertown.
Boyertown or down towards Pottstown and coming north, when you get to like the Walmart here in Boyertown, or if you get to where the Bechtelsville car wash is, you make a right-hand turn at the red light. You can't miss us after
Yeah.
that. We own both sides of the road down here. Like I said, 28 acres. huge red barn
It's a beautiful
complex.
farmhouse.
It's real easy
Yeah.
to find because you're going to break through a little wooded section and you're going to come right out, and there we are. You're not going to be able to miss it once it's finished.
We are
There's
right
just
next
no
to
way you're
Lazy
gonna
K
miss it.
Campground.
Yeah,
We are the
right.
farmhouse right next to Lazy K Campground.
Yep.
That's
Yeah,
what
it's-
a lot of
You
people.
talked about your patrons, and you're already starting to get some love here.
That's nice.
You're talking to Jennifer Griffiths Dysinger.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, Jen.
She's
Hey,
tuned
Jen.
in. She's giving you some love.
Oh,
And she's
thanks.
saying that you guys have won a lot of awards. You want to get
Yeah,
into that?
wow. You wanna
Because
talk
that,
about the
You're gonna ask
awards?
me to-
Awards are
You're going to
great.
ask me to brag?
yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
hates
This
to
is an
brag.
hour
I actually
long
do.
brag
I
session.
actually do. It's not that I dislike it. We certainly appreciate everything that we've gotten. It goes without saying that there was some work behind it for many years. At the same time, our customers are always asking us, where are all the awards? You keep seeing that you want them, but we don't have them posted. Up in Birdsboro, we don't have. It's too small a place. I don't have anywhere to put them.
Okay.
But we started, like I said, we started serving in late summer of 2014.
14, yeah.
And we also entered, that was the first year we entered the Pennsylvania Farm Show. Since we did that on the commercial side of the business, we have, I think there's 31 awards from the state of Pennsylvania through the Farm Show.
Wow.
We didn't, and none of them came from 2020 because there were no contests open in
Right,
2020
right,
because of
right.
COVID. You'll probably hear that recurring over and over after in the podcast.
Yeah.
But and then being as I was a competitive individual in high school,
Okay.
I decided that we're going to branch out and we're going to actually see how we can do not only in the state of Pennsylvania, but I wanted to see how do we fare against everybody in the country,
Okay.
continental country. And we have 9 awards now, and we don't have an award in the U.S. that is less than a silver.
Wow.
So we have
And you have international awards as well, right?
right, and my staff, my wife, and some of the customers kind of picked on me. I think it was in 2018 that because of the cost of getting involved in all of these contests all over the place, I elected to not go into the Pennsylvania Farm Show because there was one of the top 3 international contests was running it concurrently at the same time, and I wanted to get involved in that. So we put our wines into the Finger Lakes International Wine Contest, and it surprised the heck out of us. We went to a wine trail meeting, try to keep it as short as I can. We went to a wine trail meeting at one of the other fellow winemakers here in the county, and I walked in the door, the girl says, "Hey, congratulations." And I'm like, what did I do wrong now? Because that's how our
That's usually how our
relationship was.
relationship is.
It's not a rocky. It was all meant in fun.
Right, sure.
But we walk in and say, what do I do now? And she goes, no, I mean it. Congratulations. And I'm like, I don't have a clue what you're talking about. And she walks over to her computer and signs on to the computer. And that's the first that we found out that our Fredonia wine that's sitting here on the table was.
Which one is that?
That's the red wine here in the blue
Okay.
bottle. The Fredonia wine was judged to be the second best in the world in its category. We were 1 point away from being the best wine in the world in its
Wow.
category.
Wow.
And I thought, that one
That's
knocked
big.
my socks off.
Hold on. Right
Yeah.
here in Bechtelsville.
In Bechtelsville,
And
Oh,
in
Pennsylvania.
Birdsboro. Yeah,
Yep.
Birdsboro.
Birdsboro and Bechtelsville
The grapes are actually
has
grown.
award-winning wine.
Not
Yeah.
just award, but international.
International.
Yeah,
that
worldwide.
That one was one of the first ones in 2018.
Big
We kept the
time.
vintages the wine style that we had.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, what I'm growing up there is a very small amount of what we use for an entire year's worth of wine.
Now, you don't grow all your own
No,
grapes.
we grow very few at this
Okay.
point. That's why we purchased the Bechtelsville location. We expect to put in between 10 and 12,000 grapevines here.
Okay. And then that was a question I was getting to. I was going to get to is why you ended up in Bechtelsville.
Yeah, well, that's exactly why. A combination of we've ran out of space at the other place, but of course, one of the first things the customers wanted to know when they found out we bought another place, are you closing this one? And the answer is no. We have no intentions of closing
Sure.
the other one. However, there are an awful lot of people, and the longer we're open down here, and we haven't done any advertising, this is probably the extent of
This
an
is big
outside
time.
advertising.
Yeah.
Besides people that know other people and are just doing word of mouth type of thing, which is how we got started at the other place. Because down here, we're literally trying to get a grip on the sequence that you have to do to sell stuff down here, and who's coming in, who's working here. The entire staff, with the exception of the 2 of us, has been a new staff. We brought in our maintenance guy who doubles as a bartender on some of the weekends. And John's come down here to help do some training. But other than that, you don't want to have a large crowd with people that are new at it, not necessarily people that don't know what they're talking about, but people that are new.
Sure.
And you want to give the best experience you can to your customer. That's a paramount thing in a business situation, to make sure that the customer gets more of in our case, we give them more of a family appeal. Bring your kids. We don't care if you bring your kids, as long as you're respectful of the fact that the law says don't serve those kids.
Yeah.
Right.
But we encourage it. But so from that respect, bringing in the staff, getting them trained, we didn't really want people to walk into a crowd. If some of the staff that's new, relatively new to us, would be here, we decided, because we weren't so new, one time we would send the one girl up to the other place to kind of get her feet wet. She walked in for her first tour 15 minutes into being open, and
I don't
no
know if
spots in
Trish
the
is
parking
listening or
lot. What was
There's
it?
a bus.
There was
Party
the
bus.
whole place. Now this is with COVID and our restrictions in seating.
Before,
Okay.
At least inside, the inside was booked solid. There was no place else to sit. The outside, there was no place else to sit. There's no more room in the parking lot.
Okay.
And a bus comes in. Welcome to Ridgewood Winery.
Yeah.
And when you're sitting there looking at 50 people walking through the door, in your first 15 minutes, you haven't even gotten behind the bar yet.
Yeah.
So if you're not the right personality in there, you find out, wait a minute, I'm not doing this every weekend.
Right.
But it's not that way all the time. And I mean, you get to the from Thanksgiving to Christmas season, we're usually that busy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a all day long run. Weekdays not as bad. We're only open Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays up at Birdsboro, and for the next month or so, we'll be closed on Thursdays. Just again, here comes that COVID word again. With reductions in who can come out and how long and so on and so forth, we just thought it was a prudent thing from a business decision not to be open in the Birdsboro office on Thursdays. Probably end of February.
When did you open this location?
This location originally opened the 1st of March.
So you had an unfortunate timing.
Unfortunate.
Oh yeah.
Problem,
which
right?
we promised we wouldn't get into all this.
Well, no.
But we started. No, I'm not.
it's
That's meant to be a good
yeah.
one. We got the permissions to be involved in business, to actually start running the business and do sales at the beginning of March.
Yeah.
And we were open for 2 weeks. COVID hit, and we made what turned out to be a really good decision with all the things that have to be finished down here yet.
Mm-hmm.
We had made the decision it's time to close down here, just shutter for a little bit, continue to work on what we need to do, but get the rest of the staff for their training up to the other place.
Okay.
And we kind of spread everything out. Of course, the government helped with PPP loans. We used a little bit of that, and we kept everybody employed. To date, we've actually added 2 people. And
that's good to hear.
When the schools closed and the parents had the kids at home, boy, did they like
They like the
alcohol.
wine, right? Yeah. I know.
And then within about 2 weeks or something like
I
that,
almost
the
took an
governor.
ill-timed
He
sip.
did.
Within about 2 weeks of that, somewhere around the end of March, I believe the governor shut down the state stores, the liquor stores.
Crazy.
And that just made it go gangbusters.
Yeah.
Plus, they gave the holders of limited winery licenses an opportunity, which was not normal in our business, for us to be able to do deliveries.
Right.
And they carried that through the end of the year.
So there was a tiny bit of good that came along with the bad.
Yeah, I mean, you could. I hate to say it that way, but
Uh-huh.
for all the businesses that are hurting and some that are never coming back and all the rest of that stuff, we were fortunate, very fortunate that the rules
That certain
and so
things
on went
worked.
our direction.
Yeah.
They did it
and
first. Right now they're not, but they did
It
it
caught up.
first.
It did. It caught
Yeah.
up. It caught up to us, and I would guess that it caught up to most of the wineries that are here in Berks or anywhere in the, could be anywhere in the country. In all reality, that the things that you find out is some of the places that we get our materials from, which didn't have staff working all the time.
Mm-hmm.
When you got to June and you're starting to put your numbers together for the 2021 year,
Yeah.
you're finding out. You call these people, you order your material, and next thing you know, we don't have the staff.
Yeah.
So we're
There
not.
was
You're
production
not going to
delays.
get it. There's delays in some of the
Right.
stuff because of things that they either couldn't do or aren't going to be able to do, and so on.
So I mean, it sounds like though that you guys were able to shift gears pretty good and take advantage of the opportunities that were afforded to you.
And I'd say you're accurate in saying that it sounds good. If it came across the customers that way, you are more than welcome.
Right.
But I know that lady over there did more work than she was ever brought on to do.
Behind the scenes.
Because of the stuff that we had to do from a respect of, we went from just being a server of alcohol to the rule saying that we have to serve food with it.
Right.
So that meant we're
And we
trying to
brought some
bail
food
out
here today.
everybody. You know, not that's not the right word to use, to bail out, but we're trying to we don't have a license to produce the food.
But it does
So
set
we
up a
got it from other
natural.
places.
It does set up a natural relationship then with some of the other local restaurants, right?
Absolutely.
That's what I
teamed up
did, yeah.
with,
And
for
that's what
instance,
she did.
Grind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because I'm
and
like,
she
I
can
can't-
talk about that stuff.
Yeah.
So you teamed up with Grind,
I-
which is another
yes.
local restaurant.
Yes.
Keith Kopecky from Grind's been
Yes.
on the show. But
Yes.
Jeff and I both know
Oh,
Keith.
okay.
And,
So-
and,
Jeff-
the grind fell into that same situation where they were looking for a grand opening, and COVID
Yep.
hit. You know,
Right.
so
But
yes.
now places like this have given
Yes.
both businesses an opportunity to come together
Correct.
and keep their thing going on.
Correct. So every week I change, like we did this when we were July, I think we were mandated to do the food, knowing that we can't produce the food. So I'm like, what am I going to do? So the first,
Which coincidentally, by the way, sorry, meant that July was when they changed the rules. We decided to reopen
Open
this
this
place.
place.
Oh, okay.
So now I
we
have two
two
locations
places
that need
that have
food.
to have food.
Got it.
So
Oh, okay, right.
I'm, my contacts, and we started every week reaching out to people. Locally, we've worked with Seville's, we've worked with Brakeman's Cafe,
Grind.
The Grind, who else
Mama,
is there?
Mama's,
Grimia's.
Mamas, yeah.
Did you do anything with
That's
Grimia's?
Grimia's,
that's
yeah,
here. That's here,
Yes.
and
Grimia's,
you know,
Grimia's,
all the
yeah.
Chatty Monks from up in West
Yeah.
Reading.
That's a good spot.
So every week I try to do one here in Boyertown area, and the next week I'll do one down near it.
Burnsboro.
So I'm trying to,
And
Fi-
it's-
Share the
Firefly
love.
Cafe is a good.
What is it?
Firefly Cafe. It's a vegan restaurant.
Oh, is
Delicious
it?
food. Delicious food. Yeah.
So
I would
we do a lot of
imagine you'd pick up
catering. I mean,
some
we
wine.
have Foodly, so it is definitely been a
Stampede
positive.
Barbecue.
Yeah, we did Stampede.
Did
But
them twice.
but
People
it's
love
just
that.
one of those things.
They're good.
Yeah,
I like
Cloud9. We
Stampede.
have this
Tim's
week
a
we're
real
doing
nice
Crave
guy.
Cafe. We're doing those. So every week we're doing someone different, and I'm reaching out and saying, hey, we need food. So both ways, it's like we're promoting the food. They get the food here, and they get to taste the food of somewhere they've most likely never been
Might
to.
not have ever been.
And they're like, oh, this food's good. Where's this from? Well, here's a flyer. Here's, that kind of stuff. So
That was one of the
definitely
things. That was one of the reasons why we started doing this podcast
Yeah.
here at Glocker, and the other podcast that I do, Porchcast Pottstown, is because we lost our natural ways that we were networking in the past. So
Exactly.
now, in order to continue to network, in order to link up with potential business, future business, and keep our relationships,
Yes.
it's caused everybody to shift gears.
yes.
And in some ways,
Yeah.
I think that's good too. I
Yes.
think Jeff, you were
Sure.
kind of hinting about that being the silver lining in
It
the
is-
cloud.
it
but-
is great
but
'cause
that
we
is
learned a
too.
lot of-
I mean,
I don't-
people working together.
You might
in-
not have done that as soon as you
I-
did.
we
if it
talked
wasn't.
about it many times. We may not have in our business the way it was succeeding then, pre-COVID.
Yeah.
We may not have ever looked at doing the curbside pickups and the deliveries
curbside
to,
was one
you know,
thing that was
in the
mandated,
summer
yeah.
months we do deliveries to local places, you know, within a few miles type of
Right.
thing right now, where
Right.
we did what we call backyard parties.
Yeah.
Where we deliver to one residence on a cul-de-sac or something, and everybody in there bought
Gotcha.
materials, and we delivered their own products, and then they could have their own private
Right.
outdoor parties with
parties.
our materials.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
and even the
that
point of
went
working
nuts.
together.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it pushed you to do that.
Push us to work together.
Which is
yeah.
nice. It's you know, because you both can benefit. You know, you and whatever restaurant you're connecting with can both benefit from each
Yeah,
other.
they get an exposure, and of course, everybody they'll ask. They started to ask last weekend, "What are we doing for the first week back with more food again?" And she gives us the answer. We Crave Cafe. That's what we're doing.
Right.
Cheddar soups.
Yes.
So
Or chicken
you
noodle,
know,
yeah.
you start. People come in. They want to get the wines. They don't want to sit here and do nothing. They get a little bit of food, not a lot. It's what's called the
Qualifies, it's a meal.
Right.
But yet you're advertising for them every time somebody puts in a wine order for something, and they want to take. Some of them are just getting it and taking it with them to take out, even though they're not staying. And
Yeah.
we have to go packages, and you're telling them who it is, and they're like, "Oh, now I like this stuff." Like she said many times, that people came in. We had the meatballs from the Grind. They liked them. They go to the Grind now.
Right.
Right.
You hear them come in all once in a while and say, "I don't think I ever would have met that place if you wouldn't send anything." Now the eyes are open, and the way they go, and you're right.
Right.
It is a very good joint way
Right.
for a lot of the local restaurants that have an ability to be able to get us bulk materials, and we try to keep it as simple as possible. We're trying to stay under $3,
Yeah.
so that you're come in here as the winery to get a glass of wine, a bottle of wine, sit and enjoy yourself, and a good number of people already ate. So that's where everybody comes in. Not everybody, but a lot of the people come in. Majority that say this meals thing is ridiculous, but we understand.
Yeah, sure.
But
And
we've
so that
also
way
had
we can
people
sure.
come for the meal, which is fun
Yeah,
because
it's great.
it's like they're
It
coming.
works- it
It
works
works
in
both
reverse.
ways. They're
Yeah.
like, oh, we're coming. This is our. They don't have to worry about what they're having for supper because they know Tracy will figure it out.
Yeah,
Whatever
right.
Tracy's serving is what we're
We don't,
eating.
we don't know what mom's giving us tonight.
That's right. And they're like, this is
And
this
and
is
some of these
great.
places don't have wine or liquor, or
No, they don't.
so then they can enjoy that meal with
Correct.
some wine.
Yes,
Yeah, which is
so.
great.
So speaking about enjoying wine, there's some people logged into the show
Oh.
that are making comments. We
Okay.
are monitoring the comments, so please continue to make those comments. Those comments also help get the word out. The more people that comment on the show, like the show, and share the show, the more it'll help spread Ridgewood Winery's message.
Yes.
Liz Hafer is saying she
Oh.
loves Ridgewood Winery. Keep making
nice.
that diamond.
Oh, that diamond. That's one of the favorites.
Lisa Benzinger, go Ridgewood. Glocker
Thanks,
Realty
Lisa.
Insurance was talking about where do you grow your grapes. Currently, you grow them in the Birdsboro location.
We've got some in the Birdsboro location. Every once in a while, we'll go out and we'll get materials from other vineyards that are local,
Right.
and that way we get our own stuff. But probably about 80% of what we do comes out of Pennsylvania.
Right.
We're transitioning away from what I'll call the old style of our business, which was getting materials from someone that already created the juice.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then we don't, it kind of cuts out a step on our side, but at
Right.
the same time, it's a little harmful on our part because I can't make some of the better wines
I got you.
unless I can control the process from
Yeah,
start
you have to
finish.
you have to know what you're.
And that's
kinda-
why I said when we
And-
get stuff from local vineyards,
Right.
local being within 25, 30 miles of us,
Yeah.
we can transport ourselves to those locations, look at those fruits, see what's going on, tell them when we want it picked, and then it's a more control over what we get in a final product versus large
the
vineyards that
pressed
are up
juice.
north that are just
Yeah.
bringing everything in by a machine, and this is what we have this year. Do you want it or don't you?
So you're talking
then-
about smashing the grapes with your feet, right? That's what you're talking about, right?
The Lucy,
You would
yeah, he
not
likes the
believe
Lucy.
the
How many
number of people that
people
want to
think that's
do
what we
that.
do in the basement at Birdsboro?
So we have always entertained the idea of doing something like that.
Yeah.
As an event.
And then people, the looks on their face when we say, when you guys are done, we put all that juice in the vat and use it. No, we don't.
Yeah.
But there's a boatload of people that have told us that they'd love to do that. Just to get that old school feel, if not just to make a mess.
Has anybody strangely asked you to look at your feet just to make sure they're
No,
nice and
no,
clean
they
or
have-
anything
they
like that?
have
Okay, that's good. That's
We-
good.
That's where he grows his yeast sample.
That's the yeast. The yeast
You didn't have to
now.
go there,
I-
Matt.
like,
You didn't have to go there.
I did it.
You did it.
started
You
it.
did.
We
Yeah.
don't actually say it that way. We call it the wild yeast.
Wild yeast,
Wild
yes.
yeast, that's where it
Lo- locally
It's the
propagated.
wild yeast.
Yeah.
Organic
Strange.
yeast.
Organic.
Very, very
Organic,
organic.
Not GMO.
No.
No, I
Tiffany?
remind them we stomp the grapes, but we don't wash our feet for the
Yeah.
first month, month before that.
Right,
so that,
sure.
so that everything's ripe and ready to go.
Tiffany Joe Smith is saying hello.
Oh,
So you've got
the
some
daughter,
people.
yeah.
Hey,
Yes.
daughter-in-law.
yeah.
I did put up the slideshow, so people that are watching are seeing the slideshow. Those pictures that you're seeing are mostly of their Birdsboro location.
Yes.
I
We're-
didn't really have a whole lot of pictures here of the Bechtelsville location
Right.
where we are today. Jennifer Ann, who's the producer of our show.
Oh, okay.
That's who you were communicating
Yes,
with
I
prior
was.
to the show.
Yes.
She's saying she loves the wine slushies.
Oh, those
Wine slushies. That seems like a new thing. Is it a new thing?
We've had
been
slushies
around
for 3
for
years.
Probably
Roughly
four
three,
now.
4 years. So
but
we-
we work with a supplier for the products that we have. We buy the machines and stuff from him. You can take them home with you, make them at your home, and we don't have a different recipe. A lot of stores or products that are made at a restaurant, so to speak, they offer the same thing at their place, at home, but their home version of whatever it is that they have
Is
is slightly
produced by
different.
somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we don't do that. We just, when we set the slush machine up, especially on concert weekends, look out. This guy
He's talking
usually
to me
ends up
about-
doing
he's
8
freaking.
hours worth of nothing but making slushies, the mixes
Yeah.
in the basement when we do concerts.
So there's a couple more questions coming down. You probably
Okay.
want to get to these. Glocker Realty and Insurance. I think Jill Diffenderfer is running the controls at
okay.
Glocker Realty and
Okay.
Insurance right now.
Okay.
She's asking, what is your signature wine? 2 questions,
Good
actually.
question.
What is your signature wine, and how much is a wine tasting?
So
Fire
our
away.
signature wine is our summer blush. I would say that. So our summer blush it's an international. Is that international?
No,
Gold
that one
award.
went-
That's
that's
oh, sorry, it's only national. It's
Yeah,
not,
that's a national. That was the.
this is a gold national
I
award.
think that was
winner.
the second one that we had a
Wow.
gold medal for.
Yes.
Okay, nice.
So
in
summer
the
blush,
United
it
States.
tastes like a watermelon, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
It tastes like watermelon.
Is it
so-
sweet or is it just?
It's a sweet.
It
It's
is
a
sweet.
sweet
I
guys would like
prefer
it.
the sweeter wines.
Do you?
Now, that being said, whatever we were drinking,
You had a Chardonnay.
I'm not a wine drinker. It was good.
Okay.
I finished
Now,
it.
are you saying that because we're sitting here?
Are you- Matt, was that a cue for me to give you more? Is that? Yes.
Both.
Yeah.
So you think the summer blush?
The summer blush is our #1 seller, and it's all year. We have it all year. It isn't like people came in
We
to our
didn't
birth
design
didn't
it
die-
to be an
yeah.
all-year wine. We decided that its flavor more of a wine cooler style of
Okay.
wine. It was actually designed to be something we expected to sell from
I gave you-
April to October. So we were a little astonished when we finally got FDA approvals for it and label approvals and could put it out on the market. It was, I think it was in October when we released it. And I'm thinking, as the business, the analytical part of the business, I said, this might work out well. We'll get it out on the market. It'll hit with some sales behind it and some personal stories and so on by the time spring comes around. Now we actually ended up on the Friday it was released having a stockpile of cases in our own outbuilding, and people were lined up to buy it by the case.
No,
Day
no
one.
clue.
And
44
we sold
cases.
something like
44,
40 cases of
40
wine
something.
Wow.
on a Friday
On a
evening
Friday,
for 4 hours.
It was crazy. It is another one. And our wine tastings,
Yeah,
to
how
answer
much
your
is the
questions.
wine
So our
tasting?
wine tastings, we're doing wine flights right now.
Okay.
So wine flights, they because of the governor's rule, you can't stand at the bar. So we're doing wine flights, $5 for your choice of 5 different kinds of wine.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's why we don't want to, with the food,
That
we don't
sounds
want to
reasonable.
go, we don't want to
Yeah,
go
totally.
too expensive because it's like, I know you have to purchase food to go with any kind of consumption of wine on site. So
And
we try to.
we always used to do the tastings in a 9-ounce stemless
Yeah,
glass,
right. You
Ridgewood
get the
stemless
glass,
glass.
yeah.
Although we're not doing the tastings in those because of the rules, you still get the glass.
You still get the glass with it.
So we have it prepackaged and ready to go.
Yeah.
So when you do your wine tasting, when
Does
you're
that answer
finished
your
with it,
question?
we usually bring it either to your table indoors or outdoors. We usually bring that with it. And she just rolled out with the virtual tasting too, where we can
Yeah.
package the materials and send them.
Go.
Oh,
have,
really?
Have one person come pick them up. You can do your private party at home, and you get
Very
exactly
cool.
the same
Very
thing.
cool.
Yes.
For a pretty minimal
So that's the new
cost.
thing because, you can't do it here.
I was wondering how you're going to do a virtual tasting.
So
But that's good.
you select your 5
Uh-huh.
and go on our online ordering. You select your 5, or you can buy bottles with their virtual tasting, and then we have it ready for you. They're in nice little bags, and you take it home, and we tell you there's instructions on how to do the tasting. So it comes with a glass, but it is definitely it's all like everybody has to think something different.
Yeah, sure.
And these
Thinking outside the box.
You have to think outside the box.
It's a good
you
thing.
can't drink here, but you can order it and pick it up to go.
Yeah.
And people loved it for Christmas and New Year's. It
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah,
my God.
for sure.
So we're looking. I mean, girls' nights, and they were like, so everybody's doing Zoom nights or wine Wednesdays Zooms. So it seems to be a
Or
neat thing.
wine Tuesdays and
Wine,
Mondays.
whatever
and,
wine,
yeah.
whatever day when,
Just
whatever
put
day.
wine in front of the day and you're good.
Exactly.
Matt, I just want to let you know that you're drinking the Riesling now. I
Okay.
switched
He
it up on
grabbed
you
the-
by
he grabbed
accident.
the wrong
No, that's
I
all
grabbed
right.
the wrong. But I just had the Riesling. It's really, really
Like
good.
I said,
guys like the-
I'm a
Yeah.
hardcore, like a hardcore beer guy. Like
Okay.
that's almost exclusively what I drink.
Really?
So wine's not really my thing, but these are good.
I
Okay.
forgot that you said that before.
Before he
And
hands you a
if
glass
if
of
that would have been the
wine.
case, I probably would have given you the Gewürztraminer to
Gewürztraminer.
get your
Up-
opinion.
I'm trying to, it's good
We
stuff.
might have to drive
That's
him
what I'm
home
trying
to
to
get
say.
him more.
that. Love that.
I like. Well, when you guys first opened up in Birdsboro, you did have a fruit wine. You and I talked
Yeah.
about this the other day when we came up to do the pre-visit for the show.
Your black.
It was a blackberry. That was good stuff, man. I actually was in the neighborhood of your old place one day, and I stopped in to pick up a bottle because I had tried it someplace else
Yeah.
and knew that it was good.
Right.
I heard that it was good and went and picked up a bottle of that.
Good.
I prefer the fruit wines when I do drink wine. I'm a fruit wine guy.
Okay.
Robin Lawhorn is one of our realtors at
Okay.
Glocker Realty and Insurance,
Okay.
and she's asking how much is the virtual tasting? Is there a different fee?
The
for
virtual,
that?
yeah, those are 15. There's a lot of prep work on our time to
Okay.
get them ready.
Sure,
There
makes
is
sense,
a lot.
yeah.
So when they come through, they're 15, but they're packaged in a really nice bag, and the instructions are there, the glass is there, everything's in.
So you got everything you need
Everything
right there
you
in one
need
package.
to take home.
That's
and
good.
it's all the wines are all sealed in
little
containers,
yeah.
so that
Okay.
you could even order it on Tuesday, like we
Right.
talked about
Yeah.
before. You could order on Tuesday, and we can have it ready for you. You could have your party on
Right.
Sunday, pick it up on Friday, it would
Right.
still be all right on Sunday.
So the bottles are different. If they want party boxes, what we have, we're calling the party boxes. They can
Yeah.
get bottles, and if you're having, I shouldn't say
A
that,
a
girls
larger-
over, but I don't know.
Well, you're having a larger get together at your place, family get
I
together.
don't think we're supposed to
like
say that right
But-
now. That's like,
Well,
then you
family
get the
get
bottles
what people
instead.
do
your
at
family,
their house.
your family at
It's
their
their
house.
business.
Hey, it's if you like the products and you want the products, and
Right.
we got a way to get them to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can
Yes.
have the same party by grabbing the bottles on a Sunday and taking them home with you versus we can give you all the supplies in one bag.
Yeah.
Sure, that's great.
Yeah. So then we do a lot of events also. So we bring a lot of people on. We do some of the events that we have been starting. And the reason
Yeah.
we bought this also is because of concert. You heard Bill say about
Yeah,
concert.
I was actually going to get to that too.
yeah,
I
we-
wanted to.
Oh, should I?
We're great at the
Yeah,
lead.
can we? You are.
be good at
You're
that.
making my job very
We're-
easy.
These aren't scripted.
I did want to know what your expectations of, because we had a conversation with
Right.
with Bill and Tracy prior, and he kind of explained to us what things he's going to do at this location.
His vision.
His vision. That's a
vision.
good word.
His vision
His
is
vision of this
long.
Bechtelsville location.
Right.
And I think that it's important to tell the people watching that
So
too.
the first thing is we at the other location, things that we do at the other location, events,
this
events
is
wise.
how we got to where we
Right.
are is because of
Right.
lessons learned at the other
Lessons
place.
learned.
Okay.
So we started these concerts, and the concerts that we do, we have a band, and we started with this little tent. Well, people kept coming. So by the time we were a couple
I
of
think our
years,
first concert, I counted in the picture that I had.
my
I think
God.
our first concert was 35 people.
right now we're at 200.
That's not bad. 200.
Yeah.
Yeah.
200 plus
Under a
in some
tent,
cases.
depending on who we have, of course, depending how big of the band is. And so it was like, at our location that we have 19 parking spaces. Okay. So when you have 19 parking spaces, then we have East Point Drive, but people can park in the back. And it was like, we really need a place that we can do these concerts, more efficient.
Yeah. Right.
So the other thing is we have a lot of people come for weddings. We've done weddings there. We've done, 150, I think was.
Not sure
it was
what
like
the biggest one
150.
we did. Probably
So I'm
under
just
the
saying, when you
tent,
think
yeah.
of under the tent, okay, in the backyards, but it's every time we do it, we have to, set up the tent. So many people come for parties, reunions, things like that to us. So we've done a lot of rehearsal dinners and bridal showers and baby showers and stuff. But it was like, we really need
A lot of those are
room.
on a smaller scale.
Yeah, but we
because of
need
the
a
size of the other
room
place.
that we need room, and we need to branch out. And Bill needs, he can't keep producing in the basement, and he's out of room in the basement. So
Right.
we're just sitting there talking. We need someplace, either that will first of all fits our image, okay, and that's the first thing. Something close enough to the Birdsboro location, but far enough away from market. So you start looking at
So you're not
that.
pulling your same
You're not saying
customers
the right
in
customers,
two different
correct.
directions.
So
yeah.
this took.
Splitting the
We found a
sales
couple.
because you got one beside the other.
So Bill found a couple places, and I'm like, okay, and I'm like, anyways, they fell through and they weren't correct. So then it was one of those of, I'm going to find a place,
The lady with the crystal ball.
and he's like, here
She
she
doesn't
goes
just
again.
use it at Halloween anymore.
So I found this place, and it is the end of. I guess we're at the end of Berks County. Like we're at one
Yeah,
place
you're-
in
you're
Berks
right on the
County.
border of
we're
Montgomery and
literally.
Berks.
Montgomery's
Yep.
a stone throw
Right.
that way.
Yep.
Lehigh's not much more than
So
two
when you
stone
start
throws
looking
that
at
way.
market and you start looking, does it fit what we can do? And we have a barn we're renovating. We're going to be putting in the parking, 100 parking spaces.
Yeah.
Is what's on the plan, and there's enough space to do a concert up, so it gives us opportunity to do everything that Bill needs to produce wine here and grow grapes, and it gives myself the opportunity to appease the customers who want to have to rent places that you can see you're in a room that you can have 40 people, 50 people
Sure.
here
It's a
in
big
one
room.
room.
It's a
With a
constant
tasting room.
mathematical
Right.
formula that's
Correct.
hard to gauge.
Correct.
But you grow the business because we need more wines. We need more space to store those wines when they're done, when they're in manufacturing, so on. But you want to continue to grow the business, and this place will give us the opportunity to do that
Right.
in a much larger scale than we had been before.
So you have a barn outside
We have a barn outside.
that I guess you could have weddings and stuff
Yes.
in once it's
We'll be
finished,
we'll
renovated.
renovate. Yep. So
And then you have a large back area
correct.
Yeah,
where
there's 16 acres on this side as you come up our road here. There's 16 acres on the north side, on the hillside, and 12 acres.
which is like a natural amphitheater for music and events and
we've
stuff,
talked
right?
about
Jeff,
that
you're
for a
right,
number
Jeff.
of times because
Jeff's a good musician.
Is he?
Actually, yeah.
Except for when you brought up the 35 people at your first show, I was thinking, well, we had 2 people at one show, and that was our girlfriends at the time.
Hold on.
Oh, you
Well,
had
I
your
don't want-
girlfriend.
he used to.
We had other
You had
shows
some
were great
big shows.
but we had one show where we had 2 people and 3 people because the bartender was there
Oh.
and our 2 girlfriends, and
So
that
were you
was
getting
it.
commission that night?
Dude,
That
I
was
remember those shows that
that-
you used to have at your house.
Yeah.
Hundreds
God.
of people.
Yeah.
At your house?
Hundreds.
Well,
At
my
his
parents'
house.
house.
At your parents'
At his parents' house. And then weren't you guys like doing stuff up at the Ole Fairground? You would
At the
show up
Ole
there at the
Fairground?
Ole
If
or
we
the
did,
Ole
I just don't
picnic
remember.
At the fire.
Oh yeah, we had a festival.
There was
yeah.
a bunch.
Oh
you
my
had
God, that's
a,
funny.
you had a
Shine
festival.
Fest. We had
You had a festival.
We had a few festivals. Yeah.
So don't let him
So
fool you.
okay, but he's telling us that 2 people plus the bartender makes 3.
Maybe when they first started,
When they
but
first
as they got
started.
going,
Oh my God, now you're
they could
good.
draw a crowd.
That was the story behind. There is a story behind that. I don't need to get into because this is about you. This is not about
that's
me.
funny though.
Right.
So, that, I mean, if you
listen,
think
it
about
does
like
set
you
up.
would just
It
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
It does set up a little bit of a segue because we are getting a couple more questions.
Okay.
Do you have a Moscato? And if not, what is the equivalent that you have?
Go ahead.
Well, you get asked that question quite frequently. We do not carry a Moscato. And depending on what you're looking for, generally a Moscato white is going to be your bubbly. It's going, it's
okay.
going
Oh,
to
is
be a
that what it is?
carbonated drink. There's very few that I think that are actually made that are not a carbonated drink. And at this point, we don't have a carbonated drink. But from a flavor perspective, the closest that we have, and again, it depends on your palate. Some will taste the diamond because it's got a lighter flavor. Moscato can have a lighter flavor to it, and diamond has a lighter grape flavor to it. Others will look at it and they'll say that the vignoles that we make is close enough to that to satisfy their palate. We do have that. I can't say what it is at this point, but we do have a wine in the works that we expect to do as our first carbonated drink.
Okay.
That
Now,
we
are you
actually
going to
grow on
natural
site.
carbonate that, or is that going to be some kind of forced carbonate?
That's got to have to be looked at from the marketing respect of it down the road too. We and my associate have worked on that for the last 2 seasons.
Paul.
As Paul is my assistant.
Yeah, let's give a shout out to Paul.
Yeah,
Give it,
Paul,
yeah.
He's
He
covered
deserves
an
it.
awful lot
Sounds
of
like he
stuff
deserves it.
this year because of me being down here most of the time.
He's done a lot.
We bottle again tomorrow, and even then, I left that in the air whether or not I can get up there. But I hope I do. It looks like I will. But anyway, the one that we're working on that we actually do grow some of the grapes on site is starting to look like it could be a really good tasting wine done with a lighter sugar content with the bubblies.
With the
You're
bubblies.
You're getting a request from Linza Benzinger. She wants Jeff booked.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Jeff booked. You'll have to bring back the shine.
I had to blow the dust off my guitar, I think.
Yeah.
We're going to book you for.
I got the mic
if we
though
get-
right here. It even has my
so
initials
if
on
4
it.
people come,
This is
that'll
the
be great,
stage.
right? 4 people. That's
Stage
good.
mic.
I'll run the sound for you, Jeff.
He'll run
Awesome.
us out.
Just
Yeah.
don't blank us out at the beginning.
Yeah, I'll do my best,
We're
man.
going to book Jeff.
We got one more question. What's the sweetest one that you have? Out of all of them, what's the
The
sweetest?
sweetest, if you look at it from strictly a sugar perspective, the sweetest is the blackberry.
Okay.
But since it has a really strong flavor to it, and generally speaking has a larger alcohol content to it, a higher alcohol content, you don't taste as much of that sugar as you do in some of the other ones. An awful lot of people look at the summer blush and say, that's too sweet for me. Or our peach, that's too sweet for me. And the reasons for it is both of those wines carry very delicate flavors, and you can't sweeten them as much as you can something that's got a very heavy flavor. So again, it's the one part that we actually do like, and I would say most of our staff, if not all of our staff, is we like that hands-on, that face-to-face at the bar, because when that question comes up, it helps us help you
guide them,
figure out what it is you ought to try based on the questions you're asking us.
Yeah.
And that's it's not as easily explained. It's not a short-term type of explanation to that.
Right.
To sit there and say, hey, here's the wine that has the most sugar, may not be the wine that
you
want.
perceive as the sweet.
Because the diamond will taste like it has a lot of sugar. This summer blush will taste like it has a lot of sugar. We have 3 wines that carry the same alcohol content and the same sugar content. When you try them all one behind the other, you would not believe me telling you that the sugar contents are the same.
Because they all taste different.
They
What
all
I
have
think
a
I'm
different
hearing-
flavor with them.
What I think I'm hearing,
Okay. Let's
just
hear it.
just from the questions that Robin asked,
Okay.
Robin Lawhorn, Realtor,
Real tour.
Robin Lawhorn. I think what she's suggesting is that she needs to get hooked up with a virtual tasting
I think that's
and
what she
have
is,
some of
yes.
her clients over and walk her clients through a
Yeah,
virtual
you
tasting.
could do that. Again, as long as you stay in smaller groups, you can come here and do it.
You
and
can come
There
here.
then
you
we
go.
can scream from the bar to where you're sitting and tell you, whatever questions you have
Yeah.
need answered, we can do that.
There you go, Robin.
Well, I can
get
get
the-
you a megaphone too.
Bring
if
your
you
heavy
want.
hitter investors.
There you go.
Wine them and dine them.
Hey,
That's
come
it.
springtime,
Wine and
we can
dine.
Go
open
buy some real
outdoors, then we
estate.
can
Wine
talk
and
as long as
dine.
we want.
I got a question that could be dumb or it could be
There's no
brilliant.
dumb
I'm not
question.
sure of the question.
It cuts both ways.
It cuts both.
If we get up and walk away,
We're like,
This is a
we
judge.
all
look
have
at each
your
other like,
answer.
"Well,
This is
okay."
definitely a judgment question. But
A judgment.
so I'm drinking a white wine today,
Yeah.
and the reason why, well, it's not the only reason, but one of the reasons why is because I'm on the camera right now. And I don't want my teeth to turn purple. Not that I usually have that effect, but some people have the effect more than others. Is there a reason? Is it the wine? Is it the person? What is the reason that people's
Are you talking
teeth
about
turn purple
teeth-
on
teeth purple? I don't know.
you'll get. I mean, if you have kids, good example of this. You have younger kids that grab a thing of Welch's red grape juice and drink it. Next thing you know, your tongue and your teeth are.
I thought you were going to say
different
they'd
color.
grab a thing of wine.
Well,
Like,
we
Red
don't
wine.
promote that.
Maybe in Italy.
And
That's
it-
Definitely in Italy.
Yeah, in Italy
Definitely.
Yeah.
and England, and
Yeah.
But
Is there-
my guess would be that I honestly got to sit there. It sounds kind of funny to say it. I've never seen any customers, and we get 50, 70,000 customers a year.
And see, it could
and
be
I
the
don't
wine.
see anybody walking around with red teeth.
But you've seen it before, though, right? You know what
I
I'm
don't
talking
know that
about.
I have from a wine
I know
perspective.
exactly
You know what I'm
you're
talking
Same.
about, right?
I
Right.
do.
Okay.
And I think that's somebody that's probably been like drinking a lot. You know what I mean? Like
You think it's
I'm
just-
saying
just
I've
overexposure
noticed it-
to the-
I've noticed it when I'm at a party, or if you're really
Yeah.
at like a backyard barbecue and somebody's getting down,
Right.
you'll notice that.
I see.
They're not doing that here.
With the volumes of what they're seeing here, they might not see that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that some people are more susceptible, and I don't think that they.
could
It's
be-
not that they
it
don't
very-
brush their
it
It
teeth.
very
could be
easily
a
may
body
be.
chemistry thing.
Yeah.
It could be a
very
body
easily be
chemistry.
that.
But I wasn't sure if it was the wine or the person or a
Well,
mixture
either-
of both.
and-
or
and
It's
maybe
probably
Bill-
a combination.
Maybe Bill will back me up on this. At people's
I'll
body
let you hang.
composition. Thanks, man. Thanks. People's body composition also changes the way they perceive certain flavors, just like he's
Yeah.
saying.
Right.
Different individuals, based on who they are and their
Right.
body chemistry and what their preferences are,
Right.
will change the way they
right,
experience.
they'll grab
certain
one
flavors.
flavor out, then another person grabs
Yeah.
a different flavor out.
The one
Sure.
thing that we do hear about our wine is the red wine. They always say that sulfites bother them, right? They give them a headache or they get a rash. We are informed a lot of times that they do not get a headache from the sulfites from our wine.
Okay.
So the only wine that they can come and is like, this is the only one I can drink because of the sulfites. And if it makes sense that you're not putting as many sulfites in as the, I shouldn't say the bigger tanks, because because he's not putting as much
Well,
sulfites in it.
different methods that we're using to make it.
Right.
Make it so that that's a possibility for us to be able to keep the preservative levels lower
Right.
on the wines. Generally, any of them.
Right.
We've paid pretty good attention to that year after year with the products that we make to make sure that we have our own lab. We do our own testing. Occasionally, we test stuff outside of the lab just to make sure that what we're doing is accurate and that our methods are still accurate. But Paul and I are pretty good at keeping after those things and saying, hey, we got to do this, we got to do that. We have an issue with this. Again, it kind of goes back to earlier in the podcast where, not everybody thinks the winemaking and the vintner and working at a winery is the piece
Cat's
of cake.
meow?
I shouldn't say it as the piece of cake, but it's your cat's meow of a job. I bet you could find just about everybody who works with our staff says, I don't like doing that job at all.
It's a job we don't like.
But for us, it sounds like a glory job, but we are constantly tasting the wines that are down there and seeing where they're at. Years ago, I always asked the question long before I got into the business, but I enjoyed wine most of my adult years.
Mm-hmm.
And I always looked at it and said, boy, why are those red wines so much more expensive than those sweet wines? And now that I make them, the process.
Now he knows why.
Yeah, he knows
The
why.
process
They're more
with it. No,
labor- they're more
I have an
labor
easy
intensive.
way to explain it.
Right.
The process in making the wines, especially your sweet wines,
Right.
there are actually less steps making it than there are for the dry wines.
Okay.
So when people ask me that type of a question, I tell them, I said, hey, look, this is the way you explain it to anybody. We make the wine, and we follow pretty much the same steps that we follow to make a sweet wine as we do a dry wine, except when you get to a certain point, you get babysitting fees added to it.
Gotcha.
Because I'll have to babysit that wine once a month, once every other month for the
Right.
next 18 months.
Right.
And if you're a small place like you guys are, it's taking up your tank space, it's
Absolutely.
taking up your barrel space.
Yes.
So it's a longer turnover period,
Yep.
and it's using up your capacity.
It's not necessarily a longer turnover, or we factor that into how it sits,
Right.
where it sits.
Yeah.
We put it in special storage containers out of the way to leave it sit.
Gotcha.
And free up the other stuff.
Okay,
But that's all
okay.
that's all part of the management of the entire
of the
winery.
winery.
To sit there and say, this is the stuff that we have to have, this is when we have to have it, and we watch our tank space and what we have. And, do we got to get another tank? Do we have extras? We've had a winery here in the county that wasn't making stuff for as much at the time.
So you were
And
renting space.
I'd call him and I'd talk to him and say, hey, he goes, if you need another, 200-gallon tank, I got one sitting here I'm not using. If you want to come up and drag it to your place and use it for the winter, use it. He's
Okay.
not going to. And we've done it.
Gotcha.
I've gotten into situations already where my pump failed, my primary pump failed. And I've gone to one of the wineries and said, hey, can I borrow your pump for the weekend? They said, yeah, we're not using it. Come and get it. It's a two-way street.
Right.
Right.
We do the same thing at our place. If you need something and we're not going to use it, it fits us, we'll do it.
It
And we
all
do
goes
promote
back to that
everybody else,
support
yes.
local
Yeah,
concept
correct.
that we
There's-
talked
there's a-
about at the
There's a
beginning of the
nice
show.
difference, and I don't know how it all works in other areas of the country.
Right.
I use this as the example, not a reason. I have no background in this. I would think that use the Finger Lakes region of New York, where you have a winery every half mile.
Yeah.
It is more competitive.
Okay.
Here in Berks County, we're spread out. We're not. Yes, there are people that prefer going to this winery to winery A versus winery B, and they're going to stick religiously to that. You have many others, some of our very first customers. I see their posts on Facebook and so on, and Joe and Leslie are running all over the place to go to different places. They still come to our place.
Right.
And we say it all the time. Even the customers, if you come into our winery and you're trying something, we don't get offended if you don't like it. And at the same time, if you don't like mine, and I know what we talked for 15 minutes,
you might be able
and
to
I'm going to
point
say,
them.
you know what? Maybe you ought to
We
run
get
down to
beneficial,
Cog
yeah.
Hill. Maybe you ought to run over to Manatawny.
Manatawny,
Maybe
yeah.
you need to run all the way down to 100 here to Stone Barn.
Uh-huh.
Maybe you need to run up and see Setter Ridge. They have what you're looking for. I'd be willing to
Right.
bet they have what you're looking for. We're not afraid to send them there.
Right.
Gotcha.
We
They look at us and they're like, what? They're like, So we're part of the Berks County Wine Trail.
Right.
So, which, that's the thing. It's like, and we also promote people that aren't on the trail. I shouldn't say it that way, but we do because
Sure.
we're local to, other wineries.
And
that are, like,
once we're
what kind
established,
do you like? Yeah.
people come here. You want to know what's going on in Montgomery County, Bucks County, Lehigh County. If we have the information, we're going to give it to you.
Yeah.
We're not against it.
And our staff does it too.
Yeah,
and
and
our
it's,
staff's, yes.
and it's not like the people are going to go somewhere else and not come back. And
Right. They're like, well, we went there. We like this, but or
Hey, like you said,
they were doing
I have
this.
something you like.
whatever.
Somebody else says something that you like.
I think restaurants,
back
I've
and
heard
forth.
the same thing from restaurateurs.
Mm-hmm.
They're never, a good restaurateur is not upset when another restaurant opens up next door to him.
Sure.
Because eventually
Yes.
the person that's going there is going to
Yes.
see his place and they're
Yes.
going to come back
Yep.
and try that other
Right.
spot.
they're going to have
And
cross
what's the
customers.
cuisine?
Absolutely.
And we
Yes.
do.
Right.
If you're making exactly the same hamburger I'm making, maybe that doesn't ever happen. But if you're running two different cuisines,
Right.
yeah, this is what I'm after tonight.
Yeah.
Even
I don't know
McDonald's
how
and
many
Burger King, they specifically find each other's location
right.
and
And
park
we're gonna
themselves
next
right there.
door. Yeah.
Yeah.
It depends.
Right.
Yeah.
So I do want to say this
Go
because
ahead.
we're coming down towards the end of the show, and
my
I know
God.
there's some other stuff that you want to come to.
Sure.
Everybody's saying that
Lightning
this was this
round.
good conversation. This was a great conversation. It stayed moving. You also might have picked up a new patron,
Oh.
LaWanda Miner, who's one of my neighbors in Pottstown.
Okay.
Who's a regular watcher of Porchcast Pottstown.
Oh, okay.
Tuned in tonight to see
Okay.
you guys. So she's
We're
learning
right up the
about
street.
you.
Thank you,
She
LaWanda.
said, great show, great
Yes.
conversation.
Thank you.
And hopefully she'll come up
Come
to
up to see us.
Bexelsville or head
Yep.
out to Birdsboro and
Yep.
see you guys.
Well, good.
Cool.
So there you go.
good to hear.
You
Thank
got
It's
to
good to
spread the
hear. We
word.
got to spread the word.
So
besides
yes.
Ridgewood Winery, you want to know what's going down in Boyertown,
I
don't you?
want to know what's going down in Boyertown.
I knew
Jeff.
you wanted
What's
to know.
going down in Boyertown?
Okay, so what's going down in Boyertown is my blog. That's on jeffknowsboyertown.com, and we highlight a couple of items each week on our podcast here at the Cast of Glocker. So Boyertown has a big anniversary coming up on the 13th. It's next Wednesday, which is not a good anniversary. Matt, do you have any idea what I'm talking about? Because I don't think that Bill and Tracy know.
It's the
We do not know.
anniversary of the Rhodes Opera House fire.
Bingo, Matt.
fire.
Bingo. I knew you're a historian. I
Yes.
knew you had to know, right?
I knew.
So those of you that don't know about the Rhodes, do you know about the Rhodes
Yeah.
Opera
I
House
do
fire?
because
do you?
I do
Oh.
because I was
You've
at
been working with
the
someone.
Happy Zen.
And what did the Happy Zen have to say?
No, we were talking.
Oh, you were talking about
We
it.
were talking
Okay.
about the history of Boyertown because being new to the area, they were telling me about the fire and why. The biggest thing is why the doors are out.
Swing
Yeah,
out.
there was-
Swing out
Right.
as per
That-
code because of the
That
fire.
was one
Correct.
of that. And then
And
there was
I-
another
There's another fire code, yeah.
The Triangle Shirt Factory fire up in New York.
Oh.
That was another big fire that,
Okay.
along with the Rhodes Opera House fire,
Okay.
changed the codes so that doors go open
Yes,
instead of
instead of coming
in
in.
because people got trapped
You
in
get,
the
you
door.
get stuck up
Yes.
against them when they're closed.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yes, I did know that, Jeff. He's
So-
surprised
Sad.
that I knew that.
January 13th, 1908 was the Rhodes Opera House fire. Is in the location of Durango's there. Yeah. And there was 171 people that died from the fire, which is huge now. But can you imagine back in those times in 1908?
Right.
You know,
It was
Well,
Boyertown was a
devastating.
bustling town, but
Yes.
still, I mean,
You
that's
got to imagine.
yeah.
You know,
Everybody was
what's the-
connected to
what's the
someone.
population?
Yeah, what was the
Yeah.
population in
Time.
1908?
That's a good
Does
question.
anybody know?
No, that's a good
Because
question.
that would be kind of nice to know.
It might have
Oh,
only
man.
been a few thousand.
172.
Right. Because
No.
yeah, not like
It didn't wipe out the
person
whole
died.
town.
it did, but it would kind of.
No, yeah, I don't know. That's a great question,
Yeah.
though. Yeah. But yes, 171 people died. 170 actually died in the fire. One person, which was a fireman, which was I believe, and I'm just taking this from memory at this point. I think was the only fire person available in town. He was headed there. It was an cold, icy night. He hit the ice with his wagon because it was wagons back then, and slid and hit a tree and died.
Oh,
Died on the way
Jesus.
there. Yeah.
Trying to get there.
Trying to get there. Yeah.
Yes.
So, and as we talked about, what happened was kerosene. I'm reading.
Yeah, it's a kerosene lamp.
It was a kerosene lamp. Well, a kerosene lamp, from what I'm reading, a kerosene lamp caught fire. That was a sting that was put out. And then then they realized that this is dangerous. They were taking this large kerosene container elsewhere that broke when they were carrying it, and that caused a fire that started that could not be put out. That immediately lit up the place.
Wow.
Yeah. And everybody
And
panicked
no fire
at that
codes
moment.
at all. I mean, you think about everything
Nope,
was wood
and
probably. And
So there was some fire escapes, but the amount of people trying to get down them at
Yep.
one time,
Yep.
they just got trampled and got stuck down at the bottom
Yep.
of the fire escapes. And as we talked about a minute ago, the doors opened the wrong way, so everybody just packed against the doors and got stuck. Nobody could open them up. So it's a real shame. I mean, shame is an understatement, I guess.
We're still talking about it.
We're still talking about it today. Yeah.
Yeah, over 100 years later, we're
Yeah.
still talking about it.
Right.
So it's tragic.
And for those, so I'm gonna give a short synopsis on the blog.
Chopper just tuned in.
Oh, Chopper.
Chopper.
How you doing, Chopper? We'll see Chopper next week.
Sweet.
I'm sure we will.
At the State Theater.
But
Oh, yeah, you're right.
yeah, so what was I saying? So a short synopsis to anyone that doesn't know the story or just wants to refresh their memory is going to be on my blog. But there's also a documentary that was done, the Rhodes Opera House Fire: Legacy of a Tragedy, which I also will have a link to, which is really incredible to watch.
Is it?
We watched, my wife and I watched it last year or 2 years ago, and it's really, really.
I'm
good
going to
documentary.
check that out.
Yeah,
That's
you should
something
watch
I'm
it. It's
into.
really
Yeah, I'm
well
gonna do
done.
that.
It's really interesting. It's really sad.
And people will find that on jeffknowsboyertown.com.
Yes. So I'm going to highlight that, but as well as the sad news, I have good news too.
Well, that's good, Jeff.
So the Peppermint Stick Candy Store is doing a Back to the 80s month. The whole month of January, they're doing kind of trivia and giveaways all month long, different things, different days. So go on the blog or just go right to their Facebook page, go to their website, and just see what they're doing, because they're giving away lots of fun things and just it's fun to play along. Cool. I like games. I think it's fun to play along. So that's all month long in January, the Peppermint Stick Candy Store. January 8th. Wonder Woman 1984, the movie, is coming to the state. So states reopening. They had to be shut down for the short period of time. They're reopening on Friday the 8th with Wonder Woman 1984, which I heard is really, really good. I don't know.
I've seen mixed reviews.
Have you?
To be honest with you.
Have you?
Yeah, I did see a couple of mixed reviews. But I think one of the things was the one guy that I saw it has a tendency to be a critic. Overly critical.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think other people,
And it's a
older
superhero.
people,
It's a superhero movie. You gotta kind of.
I know that's true,
Yeah.
but I think us Generation Xers have the memory of the Wonder Woman series.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I read, this guy wanted to see some more of the concepts from the Wonder Woman series incorporated into the movie. So that's just his preference.
Yeah, everybody's
That's
got
his
their
preference.
their tastes and their thoughts, and that's okay.
And that's going to be at the State Theater.
State Theater. And speaking of the
Friday
State Theater,
nights.
Matt,
Speaking of it,
next week, next
Is that when it is?
Yeah,
Wednesday?
next Wednesday, we are going to be at the State Theater.
I'm excited for that.
Live, 6 o'clock Wednesday night, and we're going to have a lot to discuss with them as well. And I'm sure there will be lots of history conversation with that.
Oh, absolutely. That place is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Now, are they having a show at all that night, or are we just there?
Wonder Woman will be playing at 7 o'clock.
So
come early.
We're the hype men.
We are.
We're the hype men for
So
Wonder Woman.
we better be good.
I better not say anything sexist.
It's going to be hard for you.
You got to poke me under the table. I struggle with that sometimes.
I know you do,
and
man.
listen, it's not on purpose. I just have
just you.
some pathways that I need to redevelop. But yeah, I'm very excited for that. Like, I'm really super excited to be the hype man for that movie.
Yeah. I hope people show up early.
I want it to be like the old school days, like where you used to tune into the radio and hear about the show while you're on the way to the show.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to be great.
That would be awesome.
I'm going to put on my old-timey voice. Here, we're at the State Theater, welcoming you in to Wonder Woman 1984.
You do that all too well, Matt. All too well.
Oh, my.
I listen to a lot of radio.
Yeah, you do. Old radio. But so yeah, so they're starting Wonder Woman on January 8th, and we will be there on the 13th.
Chopper is going
And
to
Chopper
be there.
will be there, I'm sure.
Yep. I'm waiting.
Chopper wished me a Merry Christmas. Did he wish you a Merry Christmas?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Bonnie Kerr Trainer is saying, "Where's the winery?" So let's just
Let's
get into that real
let's
quick.
revisit that for sure.
Ridgewood Winery. We're located here in Bechtelsville. Why don't you guys give
Okay.
the
A little
address
address?
of both of your locations?
Okay, so Bechtelsville is 215 Township Line Road, Bechtelsville, right next to Lazy Cave Campground. The road off of 100 where the Bechtelsville Car Wash is. Take that Township Line Road and it's
You're
we're right
here.
here.
Yeah, you'll be here quick.
Yes, you'll be here right quick. So our other location is in Birdsboro, 2039 Philadelphia Avenue. Birdsboro, it's right off of 176 and the 422 interchange. So,
And it's worth noting for them if they look at the Facebook pages or the website.
right.
The winter hours are in effect right
Yeah,
now,
so-
and although the Birdsboro location is open on Fridays, the Bechtelsville location is not. But we
So,
are
yeah,
open
so
from
it's
12 to
Friday.
6, both Saturday and
Saturdays
Sunday.
and Sundays.
Okay,
both
Saturday and
places.
In the
Sunday.
summer months, we go up to 8
Yes.
o'clock on the weekends.
Yeah.
And then here's what we're also going to do.
Right.
After the show,
Okay.
it'll probably happen sometime tomorrow.
Okay.
If you go back to Glocker Realty Insurance
Yes.
and look at this video, in the comments, or not in the comments, in the description of the show, we're going to put links to both of their locations.
Right.
So you'll be able to find
Thank you.
those.
Okay, perfect.
Bonnie, Trainer. Make sure you check back in Glocker
yes.
Realty Insurance, and there'll be links on the description
Right.
of this episode that will guide you right into where they are.
So we call
Awesome.
this location Ridgewood Winery on Daffodil Hill Farm.
Hill.
Yes. So,
Lovely.
I like that.
Because there's
It's
a lot of
lovely.
daffodils here. Carol,
Thousands.
yes.
Come in the
So
spring.
previous owner has a lot of So we
She
thought we'd
loved
keep the
daffodils.
daffodils incorporate into our
I'll
name.
come with my camera.
Yes,
Some of the
beautiful.
locals knew it as
Knew it as
Daffodil Hill
daffodil.
Farm.
So
Nice.
Do people come and take pictures here?
they have they?
I probably have. I have to say
We
probably.
haven't
Okay.
seen
We,
them.
we
If
have.
if
Last
they
year
have.
was the only year that we had it in a springtime environment
Right.
for
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
Like
So
I
if
said,
we
when,
go-
when
yeah.
we're done with everything that we have to do here,
Oh, it'll
it
be
ought to be a heck of a
picturesque.
picture
Yeah,
because
yeah.
We've
the
taken some,
design. I'll
yes.
give you a sneak peek here. The design from the campground all the way up to the house is going to be lining both sides of the road with peach trees. So put the yellow
That's the thought.
daffodils under the pink peach trees.
But
That would be
everything is
nice.
on. If they go to our website, ridgewoodwinery.com,
There you
a
go.
lot of information's there.
Yeah.
Our winter hours are there. Some of the events that we're doing is there. We do a lot of events. I keep the staff busy. I keep customers
It's
busy.
going to get
It's
as
gonna get
things
busier.
loosen up. It's getting busier.
Yeah,
and
and we're all
Right.
expecting and can't wait for it.
Right.
Can't wait
The other
for it.
thing, we just started the podcast because of you guys.
Yeah.
Right? So tomorrow is our start.
Your first.
Start. Right.
Virgins.
So we're going to be doing Wine and Dine Me
I'll be
with
bottling.
Ridgewood Winery. So if there is a, I'm not even looking. So
Go
if
ahead.
we're actually doing it with Foodly catering. So we're going to have food takeout, and every race's supposed to have takeout. So we're bringing takeout to our location, and we'll pair it with wine. And we have two guests that are actually just, they're guests. Neil and Julie are our customers. So the regular customers that are coming, and a non, partial. Some of our
I don't know. They
Right.
sound pretty
There.
partial.
but I mean,
You're
but
here
still,
to
like,
blow your own horn.
I'm
Don't
just
be
saying.
shy about
I'm
it.
not.
Just put it out
So
there.
I'm just saying that we are.
Got the
actually-
greatest wine in
Yeah.
Pennsylvania.
I am excited about
Right.
starting the Wine and Dine Me.
Yes.
That was from Jeff's. Jeff actually gave me the name, so it was like, what a perfect thing.
I don't need the credit, but thank you.
Yeah.
And when are
so
you going to do that?
so we're going to do it
tomorrow?
start with tomorrow night.
At what time?
Tomorrow at 6.
And
on
on
our
what channel?
On our Facebook Live page, because that's what you told me to do.
After the show, after we're
You're going
done,
to help me.
It'll be interesting to see how
I'm
this
gonna,
all
I'm going to
pans
sample
out.
a little bit more of your
Yes, you
wine
are.
after the show, and I'm going to show you how to
Yes.
set it all up.
I
We'll
appreciate
get you
that.
some of the girls.
So
right
we're
here.
looking for, anybody, who wants to come to one of our locations, bring takeout food. Okay, any of the restaurants that we not that we had to work with any, but if they come, bring food for takeout, and we'll do a live podcast.
And it can be any restaurant of their choice.
Any
So,
restaurant
like,
of their
I
choice.
love this
Anybody.
restaurant. I'm going to bring it to Tracy
You
and
can do
Bill,
it,
and they're
right.
going to enjoy
We're going
it.
to,
And
yes,
we'll help you
and
pair it.
we'll
They're gonna
help
pair it.
pair it.
Okay.
Well, and we'll bring some non-partial community members with, community, people. And we'll do a live feed and pair. You don't have to pair food at an expensive restaurant. A lot of people think that. What it pairs with this? Well, what do you like? That's the big thing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You don't have to. You don't have to just go to. The only time you pair food was at a food pairing. You can you can pair food with, takeout food.
Whatever.
And so, you like the wine. So that's one thing that we're starting tomorrow
Well, so
See you
anybody
out there.
watching, come back tomorrow
on our Facebook
and watch
page.
her Facebook.
I have to start
First ever podcast.
First ever.
podcast. So something's going to go wrong.
And
right?
which is the most
That's the fun
which
part.
people
We'll talk
love.
about that,
People
too.
love when things go
Don't
wrong.
wear
right?
maroon.
Oh yeah. So by the way, they
No
told
one
us
knows about
don't
that
wear
one.
maroon, and
No one knows
Bill
about
and
that
I are
one,
sitting
Matt.
here
No
in
one
our
knows
maroon
about that.
shirts.
Just don't wear the one maroon shirt that I have that shows off my enormous
He
beard
says,
belly.
don't wear maroon because it makes you puts on some pounds.
Oh,
And
I'm sorry, Matt. That
we
was
sat
too-
here,
that was
looked
too
at
easy.
Matt, like Matt, we're wearing our maroon shirts.
All right, I think this is a good time to segue back into what's going
Yeah,
down in
I got
Sorry,
Boyertown.
what's going
two
on?
more
in
things.
Boyertown?
Two more things, and one of them is very, very important. I mean, extremely important that you must listen to right now. January 9th, tour and tasting at Ridgewood Winery,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, there we go.
This
Yeah.
is this Saturday.
Yes.
Let the bugles
Saturday, right?
play.
Yes.
Saturday here,
Yep.
right where we're
Come and
located.
taste. Yep.
And there will be a tour and tasting.
Yes.
Which you can
Tour.
see everything we've been talking about
Everything-
today.
Come and see it.
Right?
Come and see.
All right. So make sure, put that in your calendar, January 9th, tour and tasting at Ridgewood Winery. And then January 9th and 10th, I think this is pretty important. People are taking down their Christmas trees, right?
Yep.
It's that time of year.
What do you do with that
I do
sucker?
not. Your mom does not, for sure.
We didn't get a live tree this year, Jeff. My parents keep their tree up way too long.
Oh, they do.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
We've had Easter trees.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Easter Christmas
With the Easter,
trees.
Yeah. Merry Easter.
We don't go that long, but we go.
we
We
usually do
do an
an
extended
adult
amount
egg
of time
hunt.
at our house.
Yeah.
We do an adult egg hunt.
I was always joking around about the Happy Father's Day tree
Oh,
or
okay.
maybe the 4th of July
Okay,
tree. It
yeah.
never went that long.
Okay,
But we've definitely
but
had
you've
Easter
had
trees.
Easter.
I saw the
Okay.
Easter tree, and I saw the new growth on the Easter tree. I witnessed
Okay.
it. Yeah,
The new growth.
It
So
started
that's not
growing. Yeah,
happening.
it started growing in the house.
But if you do have a live tree,
So if you have a
what
live
to
tree
do?
and you're saying, well, what am I going to do with it? Especially if you're in town or, and you don't have a place to put it.
right? or
Well,
burn it.
I got an easy answer for you. The Art House I always have trouble saying
Alt
this.
House Arboretum.
Thank you, Matt. We'll be doing Christmas tree recycling, free recycling. Just bring your tree to their location.
It's on Gilbertsville Road.
Yep.
In
Pottstown address, but
it's a Pottstown address, but that
Pottsgrove area.
is lower. No, that would be Upper Pottsgrove Township.
yeah, Upper Pottsgrove. Yeah.
Yep. So it's a Pottstown address with an Upper Pottsgrove location on Gilbertsville Road.
Yep.
The
And there's a
Alt
hyperlink
House
on my
Arboretum.
blog. So if you need to find the location, just go right to my blog and you'll find it. But yeah, they're doing Christmas tree recycling, and they're going to chop them up right there on site, and they're going to use them for their pathways. They have
Cool.
They have some really-
Great
They can
idea.
use that stuff.
They have some
Yeah.
really nice walking pathways over there. If you want
Yeah.
to try to get out into nature and learn more about nature, the Alt House Arboretum is a great place to go. They do have a whole list of programs that they do. A lot of it is stuff outside, so they've been doing the programs all through this time of COVID. I will say this, their trails are very well marked, and they also have a lot of native plant and trees identified along the way. So if you want to get into learning about some plant and tree identification,
Great place
that's
to
a
go.
great place to go.
Yeah,
Great. I've been over
absolutely.
there several times. It's a good place.
And what a great ending for your tree. It's going to be used for something else.
yeah.
It's not just going
Yes.
burned in a pile
Back
or
to nature.
Back to nature. Yep.
The
big
circle of
circle.
life.
Beautiful, Matt.
That's
Beautiful.
what
So that's all I got. That's all I got for this evening.
All
at
right.
least. But look on my website, jeffknowsboyertown.com. Check out the blog, and there's plenty more on there. There's other events going on and everything. I just can't get them all
In
to
there.
you on one
Absolutely.
evening.
Absolutely.
There's
Plus
that many
we-
events going on.
There's a lot of stuff to do. Plus, we had a great conversation here
We
with
did
the
have a
folks
great
from Ridgewood
conversation.
Winery. both their locations, Birdsboro and Bechtelsville. Please go and visit them on their Facebook pages. Also visit them on the World Wide Web at ridgewoodwinery.com.
He was
That will
good.
guide you in and get you to where you need to be.
Right.
Set up your virtual tastings. Set up your virtual tastings.
Things, yep.
Yeah.
Or you
Come
can just
in,
come in
have a
and do a
tasting.
tasting.
$5 wine flights.
Tour and
Come
tasting.
on,
You get a
folks.
tour and
And
tasting
tasting, you
this
can do that.
weekend.
This weekend.
Yep.
Bill, Tracy, it's been a great time.
Thank you
Thanks
for having
for
us.
coming
I'm
out.
glad. Hey, welcome.
Goes both ways.
Yeah,
Thank you,
both
guys.
ways. We're glad
Thanks
you
for
came.
hosting us on our first
Yes.
road trip. We'll be
Yeah.
First
back.
road
It was a
trip.
good road trip. It was lots
Yeah.
of fun.
A lot of
I
lessons
like it.
learned.
Yeah. I want to say this to everybody on Facebook land and YouTube land that's watching. Thanks for tuning in. Remember to like, share, and subscribe.
Yes.
We need those in order to spread the word. It helps us get the message out. It helps us to support these local businesses. And remember, we at Glocker Realty Insurance are your local real estate experts.
Yes.
The Cast at Glocker can be seen every Wednesday night at 6 o'clock on Facebook at Glocker Realty and Insurance. Also on YouTube, Glocker Realty and Insurance. Jeff Frederick, Matt
Matt
Green,
Green.
Bill, Tracy, Ridgewood Winery.
Bring us out on your old-timey voice.
Oh yeah, old time.
We're signing off tonight here at the Ridgewood Winery. Come in this weekend for your wine tour and tasting. Thanks for tuning in, folks. We'll see you
See you next week.